to know, were you instantly delivered of drugs or did it take a few years after the hell encounter?
Well, I kept going back to it, and then one day it just bang, it left. And which is impossible because, I mean, heroin and all that. I mean, you would go into a massive, especially, doing the quantities that I was, um, not dying every day was a miracle. But yeah, you would have a serious detox for a long time. But yeah, it just left one day, and that was it. Never to look back on again. So that was beautiful.
Now, how did the Lord change you? Like, because I know that you felt like, before, like there was this anger and violence, like even towards your ex-girlfriend. How did
Oh
he
yeah,
change you in personality and all of that?
yeah, all of that. Well, the other thing then, the drug thing. I mean, I had track marks, needle marks all over my body. I mean, it was just total needle marks and all, and they disappeared that day when you took it away. Every single, just incredible. And yeah, what happened? What else was the deep-seated hatred and jealousy and rage and anger, with women or with whatever, I think it, came from like low self-esteem because most rock stars or most people don't have no self-esteem in this business. It's all, just a facade is all it is. And yeah, he just took all that stuff away from me, all the rage and all the craziness, of that lifestyle. I mean, it was a crazy life. And yeah, very I think there was a spirit like destruction on me, because yeah, I mean every night I try to, do something crazier than the night before, and I mean just yeah, just I should have died every night. That's the bottom line on it.
And do you think also because it was the music? Because I know that you got into listening to harder rock. So, I mean, do you think like that the music changed you?
I do believe that. I mean, because yeah, I don't want to get into it too much, but yeah, I switched music somewhere around I guess 13, 14, I don't know, somewhere around that where punk rock was coming out in London. So, I went over to London and New York and all that to be a part of that gender or whatever at the time. And I mean, that was really self-destruction music. I mean, some of these bands and stuff like that, And then and of course everybody thought I was, more a heavy metal guitar player and all that kind of stuff. So, and even that gender, doesn't have too much to say the least. So, yeah, I think music, anything that goes through any of your gates, ear gates, your eye gates, and all that. That's why I don't watch TV for 25 years. And God said, turn that thing off. And I said, okay. And so,
I know there's so many distractions now. But Tim, what if people say to you, "Oh no, all these encounters, that was just from drugs." What would you say to them?
oh yeah, I've heard all that in the first 5 years of it because I was, preaching all these little meetings and all that. And yeah, and of course, no one ever heard, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, nah, I've heard everybody come against it. But once I mean, once you've experienced it, and no one can tell you anything different. I mean, you just know it. I mean, it's in you. So,
Well, what did your friends think? I mean, because you knew a lot of very famous rock people, and I mean, what did they think? Did they experience the power of God through you? I mean, I know that Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. Tell me what happened with him.
yeah, that was in the second book I wrote on the Brian Wilson story. Um, Paula opened the door for me at Capitol Records. She was the producer for the studios there, or president of the studios. and they brought everybody in, of course, you know, everybody that recorded at Capitol and that. And so my first day there, I was there and I met his family and his grandkids and all that. And I didn't really know who they were and all that. And then Paula introduced me and she says, "Hey, Tim, this is Brian Wilson." And so I shook his hand and he goes flying back into the wall. It was so funny. And he goes, "Who are you?" I go, "I'm Tim." Yeah. And yeah, he was just like looking at me like, "Oh, there's something going on here,
So he really felt the power of God.
Yes.
And
Yeah, there's several miracles at Capitol. I think there's a couple livers cured and diabetes and of some producers and engineers and other people there. Even I think presidents of some of the labels there. Yeah, yeah, God was doing His work, and yeah, I mean, I got to talk to everybody because the way the studios were set up, they're all right next to each other on the first floor, A, B, and C. So there's like a narrow hallway between them. So you would meet everybody that was recording there that day. So I was there for 5 years, got open, kept that door open. So yeah, so I preached to everybody, in love and all that, and yeah, very
now, I mean, how
interesting.
did you have that open door? I mean, I know it's supernatural from the Lord, but I mean, didn't they know? Oh, yeah, he's the Jesus person. I mean, what did people think, and how did they allow you there?
Yeah, really, because they didn't allow Christian bands to record there, of course. But it was Paula heard about. She was, I think, the only Christian in Capitol at the time. I'm not sure if there's more or now or not. And so she called me in one day. I called there, tried to get in and all that, and so she said, "Yeah, I heard about you out on the streets here in Hollywood and this and that, um, with what you're doing, the preaching, the miracles, and all that." And she goes, "Is that stuff real and all that?" She was like a baby, one, like just started to believe and all that. I'm like, yeah, this stuff's real and all that. So we had like a couple hour discussion, and then she watched me the first couple of times in, spaced them out, and then by the end of it, I had every Friday at Capitol. So it was, and the money came in from donations and all that, and yeah, so for 5 years, it was incredible.
Okay, what happened with the rain? There was I know a story of what somebody was like saying, "Can you make it?" I mean, who was that? Can you say who that was and what happened?
I'm not sure who his name was. At this point, I met, man, what is his name? Metro Ministry, Bill Wilson, up in New York. I met him through Cornerstone TV. I was like a prayer person up there. And then he came over and said, "Hey, I heard all about you and this and that." Yeah. He goes, "You ever want to be a street pastor? Come on up. I'll teach you." I said, "Okay, sure." So about a year and a half later, the Lord said, "Yeah, go up." So I went up and so as I was, doing the work and all this, there was a bunch of pastors. I was out one day down Manhattan, and so I was telling them about the power of God and all that, and they weren't believing the miracles or anything. I said, "Yeah, that's what God does, and all that." And then the one pastor was getting smart. He was like, "Oh, you think you're Elijah?" I just started laughing, yeah, whatever, And he goes, if you are, then why don't you call rain down? And then the Lord told me go for it. I was like, really? So I said rain, and the rain just started coming down. It was like, oh my, it shocked me. But I was like, and they were all just like, oh wow, this is crazy. And yeah, I just went home. I went back to I was living in an old hospital there, which is their main headquarters now, I guess. And I just said, thank you, Lord.
Well, Tim, you also got very ill. I mean, I thought you were basically close to being on maybe in hospice. I mean, what happened with that?
Yeah, I went back to Hollywood in what was it, in 22, just to see what was going on. And yeah, I got cancer. I mean, I couldn't even walk like a block, and I was like bleeding everywhere, my mouth and everywhere. And yeah, and so got to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and they said you have cancer. And then they said, you've got about a month to live or whatever. I mean, it's like throughout you, and all these big tumors or whatever. And God said, yeah, I'm gonna heal you. So I said, okay. So my son came and brought me back. Um, I had to be wheelchaired in and all, the whole 9 yards. I mean, couldn't even walk or nothing. And then God said, go see your one buddy. And that was Billy Berg. And so I went there. He had a meeting and he prayed for me. And about 4 or 5 months later, I just kept, following the Lord and what he was telling me what to do. And yeah, it all went away. The big tumors and, my stomach was out like, like that. I mean, it's just crazy. And yeah, so God
Well,
did a great miracle.
wow. Now, how many years ago was that?
That's gonna be 4 years now.
Wow. Now, what were some of the keys that the Lord was telling you after Billy Burke prayed that yeah, for healing?
Well, the one thing was he said do two of those immunotherapies. So I did two of those, and he said quit. So I quit, and all the doctors are there like, well, that ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, you got to do this for a year or whatever, or more. And I told him God's gonna heal me here. And because they gave me the same thing when I came back to Pittsburgh, they said, you got a month to live. We'll just try to keep you sedated. So, they were expecting, me to die there, of course. And so most of them, like 9 out of 10 or whatever, the doctor said, this is a miracle. I mean, this is impossible, There's no way that could happen. And yeah, so it was beautiful, and this was just like what God said. So I think it's a listen and obey thing. He had me do communion. He had me speak words of faith into me every day. Yeah, there's just certain things he was saying to do, every day or every month or in that. And as I just obeyed, and yeah, I guess it was about 4 months when it was all done and said, it was gone.
Wow. So, since you've been like in the music industry but then you've heard angelic voices, you obviously know how to move in the power of worship. What keys would you say to people because I know when I'm really worshiping the Lord, it just seems to open where doors and to be in his presence and I see more of the miraculous. I mean, what would you say regarding the power of worship?
Yeah, I think it's the true heart, which is the more than the expertise in musicianship, because I've put things together with people that never played an instrument or with the Native Americans. I did a couple year tour with them all over North America, Alaska, Canada, all that. And just the wood instruments and all the primitive, could you say, instruments in that. But the people had like a pure heart that were playing. And that's I saw a lot of presence there, come in. And then I saw other ones that just, I mean, there's never two of the same, which is the cool thing. You never know when it's going to happen or anything. Another time I was like just silly drunk, and this one pastor invited me in to play a song or whatever, and I was just like, man, I just couldn't stop laughing. I think I was really annoying people. And this
Uh,
girl, I'm sitting in this yeah, I'm sitting in this front row, and she's totally blind from birth. And so I go up. Now I never write lyrics until I get on stage, and then I just write them right there. I don't preconceive lyrics until I play it or record it.
wow.
And so, yeah, it leaves it open to the room of what's going on so you can actually, prophesy into whatever's going on or whatever. And so I walked up and I said, "This one's for you." And so I played it, and it was something about the father's love for her, and I mean, it turned out to be a beautiful song in that, and like real mellow and all that. And then so I come back, and she starts screaming, and her eyes opened, and I was just laughing still because I was still out there.
Right,
And
drunk in the Holy Spirit.
yes, exactly. And so yeah, I mean, that was a crazy miracle there.
Wow. So, Tim, so that was the first time she ever saw it? I mean, how old was she?
Yeah, she was wow, she's like late 40s, early 50s, I would think. Yeah, really cool miracle. Yeah, God's love all over her.
Now, any other miracles that you want, or any other supernatural events that happened that come to mind right now?
The one I like is there was this young lady, and this is when I was in Pittsburgh, and her husband called me. He was recording and all that in one of the studios I record at. And then they said, "Why don't you give this guy a call?" And they were trying to get her baptized. And she was, tattooed head to toe, and all that kind of stuff, and heroin addict and a prostitute. And so no pastor would baptize her. And so they called me, and so I said, "Yeah, sure." Well, of course, I asked God first, but yeah, he said, "Yeah." And so I said, "Yeah, why don't you come on up?" I think they're from West Virginia and that. And so, yeah, me and my son were praying around this little park down there by the river and that. And when she came, the Lord said, "Baptize her in spirit first." I said, "Okay." So, so we were talking that, and then we just laid hands on her, and both of us went down. I said, "Wow, that's really wow," because I've never really experienced all that. And she says, "Wow, the voices left my head. All these voices she had in that." And we found out later that was the drugs leaving because she never did drugs again. And yeah, and of course she never slept around anymore. She was married to this guitar player. So and then the Lord said, "Prophesy." What was it? Three things to her. She's a seer. She's a what was it? A prophet. She's a healer. Yeah, she can see third heavens. And she's a healer. And yeah, so that day, so we baptized her and in the river, and this light came. I mean, it was a light that everybody saw, and everybody like stood around, and it came like right on her. It was so yeah. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it stopped everybody. Just everybody just stopped when they saw it. It was so cool, and so baptized there. And I said, "You heard what God said." So she went on, she started healing people. She never read the Bible and never, been to church or nothing like that. And and so she went into parks in the beginning, and everyone got healed, 100%, which is incredible. I mean, 100%. And then I said, "Well, how are you doing?" She goes, "I don't know how to pray to me. I put my arms around them and I start crying." And I said, "Jesus heals you," and then they get healed. I said, "That is so beautiful. I mean, it's just so pure right there." And
It sounds like walking in God's compassion and love.
yes, exactly. That's the whole story here, I think, God's love.
Absolutely.